Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, January 24th, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so before we jump into it, let us refresh our memory on the various parishes across Jamaica according to their locations. So, we know that when we're referring to northern parishes, we're referring to those parishes such as Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. While southern parishes, we're referring to St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. However, when we're referring to eastern, central, and western parishes, we're talking about the parishes across Jamaica according to their various counties. So, eastern parishes, those parishes in the county of Surrey, such as Kingston and St. Andrew, Portland and St. Thomas. Central parishes, we're referring to those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're referring to those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. So in the future, if you hear us talking about northern, southern, eastern, central, and western parishes, you know what we're referring to. Alright, so let us take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have a high pressure ridge dominating the Atlantic, sending a lot of easterly winds all the way from Africa across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see also that we have two cold fronts, one right here situated to the north of the main development region, while we also have another right here to the north of the Greater Antilles, probably affecting portions of Florida and the Bahamas at this time. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images across the Atlantic for today, we can see that we had a lot of low level clouds being pushed from east to west by that high pressure ridge. We can also see a line of clouds right here to the north of the main development region, all the way curling right up. All of that is associated with that cold front. And we can also see we have another line of clouds right here stretching all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, affecting portions of Florida and the Bahamas. That's associated with the other cold front. Alright, so it has been quite dry across Jamaica for the past week, and we actually made a post on our Twitter page. If you actually follow our Twitter page or Facebook page or Instagram page, we make posts on the weekly or the daily. A post was made stating that unfortunately all that dry air brought into the Greater Antilles by that cold front last weekend will result in little to no rainfall across Jamaica over the next 5 days, and that was the past 5 days. So that was from Wednesday, January 18th to Sunday, January 22nd, and it's now Tuesday, January 24th, so we're still experiencing all of that dry weather. We had a lot of dry air. All of this is not Saharan dust. This is a lot of dry air across the entire Atlantic. And if it actually rained, it rained mainly across portions of eastern Jamaica. So probably St. Thomas and Portland got in on some brief light on and off rainfall. And the reason for this is that we're in our dry season. We're in our primary dry season. Our secondary dry season is actually in July and August, while our primary dry season is December to April. And when are we right now? We're in January. So try your best to conserve water as best as you possibly can, so that if the water situation becomes dire, we are in the clear. Alright, so let us take a look at the satellite images across Jamaica for today. For the most part, we had a mostly east-northeasterly flow across the island, which brought some amount of partly cloudy skies, mainly across southern Jamaica during the afternoon. If you actually take a look at Doppler radar images, we didn't have much of anything, any rainfall at all to show. We can see some colors, greens, yellows, reds. All of that is not rainfall. That's just ground clutter. Clutter is basically feedback from the Doppler radar. We'll know actual rainfall when we see it. We actually see it moving in a east to west kind of fashion. If you actually take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this is showing the aggregated precipitation for the past 24 hours. So we see that we didn't have much of any rainfall across the island for today. And it makes sense because the average rainfall for Jamaica for the month of January is less than an inch of rainfall, and it's we can also see something similar for February and March as well. So we know that we're definitely in the dry season, as to why we haven't been receiving any amount of rainfall. Even although we've been receiving some amount of rainfall for the first half of January, are actually receiving the actual, dry season weather right now. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperatures across the island for tonight, and keep in mind that these temperatures will be getting lower as the night progresses. Right now we can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, and if you'd like, you can pause the video right now to see the various temperatures across your specific area. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map is showing the temperatures across the Caribbean for 1 p.m. on Wednesday. That's 18Z, 1 p.m. on Wednesday. We can see that Jamaica, for the most part, is experiencing average temperatures, slightly above average, especially across central Jamaica. And if we actually take a look at the average temperatures for the month of January, we usually get 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and when we convert that to Celsius, that's about 30 degrees Celsius. So we could receive, let's say, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius tomorrow, considering that we're going to be receiving some slightly above average temperatures. If we actually take a look at the Saharan air layer map, which is basically showing mostly dry air, we don't have much in the way of Saharan dust. We usually show this map when we're talking about Saharan dust, but it's not the season for Saharan dust at this time. All of this that we're seeing right now is dry air, lots of dry air across the region, which is why there is this lack of rainfall across the region for the past week. The actual Saharan air layer map, this map is showing 2 p.m. on Wednesday. We can see that we don't have much in the way of Saharan dust. The Saharan dust is usually represented by the browns. We can see most of the browns right there across the eastern main development region, as well as portions of Western Africa right there. Alright, so let us talk wind forecast for tomorrow. We can see that on the Euro and the GFS, we have more of an easterly flow across the island. We can see some colors in there as well, getting up to 25 knot winds, especially on the south coast. Alright, so let us take a look at the wind shear map. We can see that we're going to be having more of a, let's say, west-southwest to southwesterly wind shear, and this is in consensus with the GFS. So both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that we're going to be having some amount of west-southwest to southwesterly wind shear across the island. So if there's a chance of some afternoon convection developing across the island, more than likely there's going to be a bias towards the north coast. So if there's afternoon convection, the north coast will be getting in on that rainfall. Let us look at the precipitation forecast, however. Both the Euro and the GFS are showing some amount of blues that represent rainfall across eastern Jamaica. What time is this? This is 11 a.m. on Wednesday. It's been a long time since we've seen some amount of rainfall in the forecast on the precipitation map, which is why there has been a lack of videos or posts being made. And if we actually take a look at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, both the Euro and GFS are showing some amount of blues across where eastern, central, and western Jamaica. So we shall see what actually unfolds with that when we see what happens tomorrow. Alright, if we actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS have a bias for all the rainfall across eastern Jamaica, up to 0.28 of an inch of rainfall on the Euro. The GFS not so robust. We have up to, let's say, up to 0.2 of an inch of rainfall. So it makes sense that a post was made recently highlighting that we're going to be having some amount of rainfall across eastern Jamaica during the morning and eastern, central, and western Jamaica during the afternoon. Basically the same maps that were just shown. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's talk briefly about the rest of the Caribbean. So yes, we have some amount of low-level clouds being pushed from east to west by that high-pressure ridge, probably bringing some rainfall to portions of the Lesser Antilles, sections of Costa Rica and Nicaragua as well. If we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, however, we know that Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that show cloud cover, and we know that we can have cloud cover over an area and not necessarily rainfall. So this Doppler radar image is showing all the rainfall that we got across the eastern Caribbean from, let's say, 1:30 p.m. and we can see some amount of greens across portions of Guadeloupe, sections of Puerto Rico as well. And if we actually take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see most of the rainfall is off to the north of Barbados, coming in from the east or the east northeast, pushing all the way to the west. And if we actually take a look, we can see that there might be a chance that portions of St. Lucia right here might get in on some of that rainfall, maybe tonight into tomorrow as well. If you actually take a look at the wider view of the Doppler radar images, we can see that we don't have much in the way of rainfall across most areas. Belize for the most part is in the clear at this time. Wish we could see what's happening at Costa Rica and Nicaragua right here. They're definitely getting in on some of the rainfall. We can see some amount of rainfall right there into sections of Guyana. However, as it relates to the temperature forecast for the area tomorrow, we can see some amount of blues that indicate some below average temperatures across portions of the Dominican Republic and western Puerto Rico. We can see some average to slightly below average temperatures across portions of, let's say, the Windward Islands, so sections of Trinidad, sections of eastern Venezuela, sections of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana as well. This map is showing 1 p.m. on Wednesday, so slightly below average temperature are what is expected across those areas for tomorrow. If we actually take a look at the Saharan earlier map, all of the regions that were just mentioned are in the clear. As stated, most of the Saharan dust is off to the east, so affecting portions of the eastern main development region, western portions of Africa right there. If you actually take a look at the wind forecast across the region for tomorrow, the high pressure ridge is right there to the east of the United States, sending a lot of easterly winds into the Caribbean. We can see where the strongest winds are right there to the south of Haiti and Jamaica, and both maps are in consensus with this. We can still get to, let's say, up to 20 knot winds across portions of, let's say, Mexico, Belize, portions of Central America, and the Leeward and Windward Islands. Alright, let's talk precipitation forecast. For the most part, there isn't much in the way of rainfall being predicted on the Euro and the GFS. This map is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3 on Thursday. When we calculate that, that's about 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Where do we have majority of the rainfall? We can see that we're going to be receiving up to 0.2 of an inch of rainfall across portions of Trinidad and Tobago, portions of eastern Venezuela and Guyana as well. We can see majority of the rainfall is being predicted for portions of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and maybe even sections of Panama as well. Even portions of Colombia getting in on that on both maps. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Let's switch over to the western portions of the basin. So portions of Mexico, portions of the Yucatan getting in on some of the rainfall according to the Euromap tomorrow. Maybe even portions of eastern Honduras. Maybe some slight rainfall across portions of Belize as well. And the GFS model is in agreement with these very locations. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.